Hello friends, welcome to this video. I am Rohan Roy. In this video, we are going to run a static application using Node.js. So without any delay, let's get to it. Now, you might be asking yourself, why should I even bother doing that? My website seems to be running just fine without a server environment. First thing that comes to my mind, which I consider to be important, is control. When you run your application using a server environment like Node.js, you have control over your application. By that, I mean, suppose you want to introduce an authentication layer on top of your application, or you want to control which route can access which file of your website, or you want to introduce a role based access control where only certain roles can access certain portions of your application, etc. Next thing might be that you hate that your website is static to begin with and you are spending so much time updating your website again and again, and you want a faster way to do it. For that, you might want to have at least a database access and an environment like Node.js. Lastly, since Node.js uses JavaScript, you don't have to learn a new language. So, win-win. Mandatory info dump. So Node.js is a server-side platform built on top of V8, which is Google Chrome's JavaScript engine. It uses a single-threaded event loop to handle multiple requests concurrently. I will get to that in a minute. It's event-driven, asynchronous, fast, and scalable. Asynchronous means that it can potentially run tasks in parallel, but I wouldn't recommend Node.js if you have a lot of CPU intensive tasks in your application. When clients send requests, they are put in the event queue. The node's event loop checks if the event queue has any items or not. If it has, then it picks them up one by one and check if it requires any blocking operations such as database access, file operations, calling external APIs, etc. or not. If it doesn't, the event loop processes it. Otherwise, thread availability is checked. If it is available, then one is assigned to process the request, perform all the operations on that request, and then sends the response back to the event loop. The event loop then sends the respective response back to the client. This is a very simplistic view of how the flow of the application looks like. If you are enjoying the video so far, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification icon. We are going to use the Tic Tac Toe game that we created in the previous video as our example. If you haven't watched that video, I will put the link down in the description. We will move all our static files in a dedicated folder called public, like here. You can name this folder anything you want, it's up to you. And we will also initialize the application folder with package.json. This package.json will contain all the necessary metadata of our application. For example, the scripts that we want to run, if we want to install any dependencies, or the entry point of our application. You can use npm init to initialize your package.json. I will press enter. So you can see that this will basically go step by step to initialize your package.json. Since I've already created it, I will terminate this and clear the screen. Okay, we are going to create our application file. So for that, I will create app.js, and inside this file, we are going to fetch two libraries. One is fs, require fs to access the file system, and second is http to create our server. Require http. Okay, after that we are going to define the folder where the static files are. So I will say base path is equal to ./public, and I will define a variable called content type extensions map, and I will, by default, content type in a response is optional, but then you are leaving it to the browser to determine what type of file you are sending. So I prefer to set the content type from the server itself. So let us define some content type for a particular file extension. So for HTML, it will be text/HTML. For CSS, it will be text/CSS, and for JS it will be application/x JavaScript. Okay, after that semicolon, and then we will create our server using http dot create server, and in this we are going to pass an arrow function with request comma response. So request.url is the client's requested resource. So from that we will be able to determine the path name of the file and the content type of the file. So let's quickly define path equal to the base folder. So let's just first of all assign the base path, and from request URL we will check if request.url is equal to slash. If it is slash, then we will default it to index.html. Otherwise it will just be request.url. Okay, and content type will be equal to the content type map that we have defined, and we will use path dot split use with dot. So we will first of all split the string, the path string with dot, and then pop out the last item, which will be the extension in our case. Okay, so we have our path and content type. So let us quickly read the file in that path. So we are going to use the asynchronous function read file, and we are going to pass it error comma data, and we will check if the error is defined or not. If error is defined, then result dot write head, and we will set it to 404. If for some reason there is an error coming, then we will assume that the requested resource is not present. So 404, and we will pass it a content type of JSON, which is application slash JSON semicolon, and then result dot write. Okay, in this we cannot directly pass an object. We have to first of all convert the object to a string using json.stringify, and we will pass it a message of resource not found. Okay, so this is our error response. Okay, and I will end this here and return it from here. Otherwise, let me just quickly copy this part of the code. We will define our success response. Success response means that some kind of file is present in the public folder. So content type, I will assign it to the content type of the file, and write to the data that we are getting from fs.read file. Okay, and then what we are going to do is we are going to listen to a particular port that we are either setting in the Node.js environment, or it's a random number like 8080. So process.env to access our environment, and in this we are going to use the port defined there, or 8080. Okay, now let me run this application quickly. npm run start, and we are going to open a browser, localhost 8080, and this is the game. So we will quickly run and check if it is working or not. It's working. If you have any questions or concerns, please write them down in the comment section and I will get back to you. If you want to see me deploy a Node application or any static application in cloud, then check out this video. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Namaskar.